Hey Matt, as you can see, I'm not exactly a technical wizard here with the webcam at all. I've got this set up in my computer room. Uh, Here is the your your money folder that we'll be using during this. I won't be holding it up or anything else. I'm just going to walk through the presentation as best I can, and then, we'll just go from there. I think I can upload this thing to YouTube and not have any problems. We're going to find out. Again, I'm just not a techie. I'm sorry, but you know how that goes. Okay, the first step, as I understand it, obviously is rapport and introduction. I mean, if you're going to go to somebody's house or wherever and talk to them, you have to establish a rapport and introduce yourself. So, according to the program or your PDF that I downloaded, uh, the introduction you guys use is, I appreciate the chance that we have to get together. I don't know if there's something or not that will help you, but I'm going to talk to you about the areas we work in, areas such as increasing cash flow, decreasing debt, reducing taxes, and we also specialize in life insurance and annuities and how they can possibly shave years off your potential retirement. After that, if there's an interest on your part, I'll take some information, we'll get back together, and then that's when I'll go through some specifics. Uh, and this is when I'm supposed to pull out the Your Money guide and then start going through the various pages. First, obviously, you got to tell them who the heck Federal Financial Group is. Otherwise, why be there? Federal Financial Group is a national company representing several insurance companies and other financial institutions. Some of these companies and institutions have been in business for over 100 years. That's a pretty long time. They have a pretty long track record. What we do is teach people about money, how it works, and how to make it work better for you. Specifically, our goal is one thing: to help people become financially independent. What that means is that the interest you're earning on the money you've got put away replaces what you would normally earn from a business or salary. That's uh, means you don't have to work anymore. We call that financial independence. You may choose to work, you may choose to stay at work, but you don't have to. Wouldn't you like to know how to get there the soonest? That's where I'm headed. What I want to do is touch on some of the issues and challenges that face us today, and then talk about the solutions. If there's interest, if there's challenges and issues, there has to be solutions. There always does. First off, let's look at the last 10 years. Incomes, incomes have risen. That's true. But living expenses keep going up and up and up. For many Americans, there's no real way uh, that incomes have kept up with housing or a lot of things. So what happens is people tend to get in debt. There's a lack of security that steps in. Poor saving habits ensue, and that creates some real problems. Now, this is my point. Out of 100 people turning 65 today, only 7 are financially secure. That's with incomes of roughly $35,000 or more. Only 7. The other 93 are not. What's their situation? Well, many rely on family, many rely on charity, and this is probably the majority of them. They're still working. Uh, Look at all the seniors at Walmart. Uh, there's a restaurant in this town that my wife and I go to, and one of the gentlemen who's a busboy is 74 years old. And when I talk, first talked to Don, I says, Don, you're, I didn't know how quite to approach it, but he says, yeah, I'm up there in years, but I've got to pay the bills, the rent's due every month, and Social Security just isn't enough money. Man, that's tough. 74 years old, he's still bussing tables to supplement the Social Security and any other little checks that he has coming in. Uh, I don't think you and I want to be there at 74 years old. Okay, those are issues and challenges. Here's the solutions. What we do, we actually work in key areas that involve 7 steps to help you build your financial future. We weave these steps together to help people increase cash flow, get out of debt, reduce taxes, and retire as soon as possible if desired. Remember, that's what I said? That's exactly what I do. Here they are outlined here. The goal here is to obtain financial independence much quicker. So what I'm going to do is rip through these real quick. Stop me if you have a question, but keep in mind the specific areas that you have the biggest need in or the biggest priority. And then we can develop a strategy later on. Okay, step 1, inspect what you expect. In order to have more money later on for your future goals and dreams, you need to know where you are spending your money now. Part of understanding how money works and how to make it work better for you is knowing where your money goes. Agreed? We will introduce you to a tool you can track your earnings and expenditures so that you can inspect what you expect. The goal here is to free up extra money you didn't even know you had. This extra cash could be used to pay off debt or applied towards your future dreams to possibly shave years off your retirement date. Step 2 is increasing your cash flow. Now, John, how would you define cash flow? Yada, yada, yada. Okay, great. That's a great definition, John. Let's also define cash flow as this. Monthly cash flow is what's left over at the end of each month after all money comes in and expenses and bills get paid or go out. In our house, we say go out. We work with firms that specialize in improving your cash flow by reducing the cost of servicing your debts. For example, let me ask you another question. At the end of the year, are you getting a tax refund or do you owe taxes? Huh, you owe tax, you're getting a refund. That's interesting that you say that because a recent client of ours said that he usually gets back between $2,500 and $3,000, $3,500 back each year. And we said, so what you're telling me is that you're paying the government to keep your money for a little over a year and then allowing them to give it back to you with 0% interest? He said, yeah, that doesn't make sense. And you know what? It doesn't. There are ways to take that money as it's being earned and put it back into your budget to earn money for you instead of the government. What we want to do is help people eliminate debt. We use 2 plans that help people eliminate debt. One is called a debt eliminator. Here's an actual client. You see they have a 30-year mortgage for $144,000, an auto loan for $39,000, a credit card with $10,000, and a store credit card for $1,200. If they paid everything according to their current plan, they will be out of debt in 28.6 years. By following the debt eliminator plan, they will be out of debt in 13.1 years. They have the same debt, make the same total monthly payment, and there's no refinancing involved, but they are debt free in 13.1 years, including their mortgage. If they continue to make the same payments, but now pay it to themselves instead of just being out of debt in 26.8 years, they will be out of debt and possibly have up to $500,000 in savings for retirement. Now, in a few minutes, if you'd like, I'll be happy to gather some information, and when we get back together, I'll bring you back your own personalized debt eliminator plan. It's specifically designed for you. Now, John, if we can help you get out of debt years sooner than you otherwise would have been without changing your total monthly payments, would that interest you? Now, what you're going to see is an illustration. All the illustrated rates of 8% are hypothetical, and they're not based on any actual investment or specific product. We will go through all of that, and I'll explain the whole thing to you. Okay? So would that interest you? And I think you were nodding your head yes. And Mrs. John, yeah, you were. Okay, that's good. Now listen, here's step 4. It's called creating an emergency fund. Here's what I find after being in this business a long, long time. Most people don't have one. They don't have an emergency fund. So if an emergency comes up, out comes the old plastic. Let's say it's a transmission for the car. Well, and it's $1,800. You know, when they put it on that plastic, 3-4 years later, they've now paid $3,000 to $4,000 for that transmission. That's what's hurting people. A sound emergency fund has 4 factors. It's got to be safe, it has to be liquid, has to get a rate of return better than a checking account, and it has to be separate and systematic. Here's the point. Have you ever tried to build an emergency fund in a checking account? Hey, it never happens. It's free game. It'll get spent. Here's the point. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. So what we encourage is a separate account, such as a money market account, where you can have it drafted, say, $50 a month from your checking account right into your money market on the same day every month, just like clockwork. It's out of sight, it's out of mind. It's growing at a better rate of return, and when stuff happens, you've got the money. It not only keeps your credit card balances at zero, it also helps prevent you from dipping into your retirement savings as well and avoiding that 10% tax penalty. You've heard about that. It's simple, it's powerful, and it works. Step 5 is utilizing life insurance to provide proper protection against loss of life, which leads to loss of income. You know, it's pretty devastating where mom and dad have 3 kids and then dad is suddenly gone. Something happens. It's devastating, and once dad is gone, so is his income. Have you seen that before? Now, who's going to pay the house payment, food, and light bill? That's what's devastating, right? Part of a good financial plan is proper insurance to replace income, and it also sets up an immediate estate. Here we do things a little bit differently. We look at a person's financial needs and bring back options that will save people money while increasing their cash flow, helping them get up with the proper amount of life insurance. They're going to get set up with that. That's just how it is. Step 6 happens to be the biggest one. And if you'll listen to me, it could change the quality of your life. This is the one everyone likes the best. Step 6 is building a long-term income or a long-term savings. Now there's 2 elements at play here. 2 financial battles you have to win the money game, because if you don't incorporate these, can I be strong with you? The chances of you being financially independent probably won't happen. And if it does, it's way out there. So here are the 2 battles you have to win. One is the inflation battle. You'll see why in a minute. And 2, the tax battle, because it's not what you make, it's what you keep. Taxes will hurt you if you're not careful. Let's talk about inflation. Have you heard of the rule of 72? Let me explain it. It's really interesting. Whatever interest rate you're saving at, let's say 4%. You divide that 4% into the number 72. That'll tell you how many years it'll take for your money to double. 4 into 72 is 18. Every 18 years, your money will double. Almost talked about the ex-president there. Your money will double. Okay, now let me just draw this out on a pad of paper so you can see it. Here's 72, here's 4. We divide that into 72 and it comes out 18 years. So let's say you have $100 in an account that earns that 4% that we're talking about here. If you leave it in that account and it just grows at 4%, in 18 years it'll double to $200. What happens in another 18 years at 4%? You got it, it doubles, and this time it's $400. But here's the problem. 36 years from now, will $400 dollars buy what $100 does now? You know, with inflation raging on an average of 3%, I think you know the answer to that. Okay? That's inflation, my friend. Now, John, if people are saving then, where are they saving? Yeah, banks, credit unions, fixed accounts, and let's be real, today they're probably not getting over 4%, are they? The bank advertises a CD, for example, at 1%. That certainly isn't over 4%. So they're losing purchasing power, and they may never retire. That's a big problem. The solution is to help obtain a potentially better interest rate. Say a person could get 6 to 12%. Here, let me look at this. Let's look at this example together. We're going to make an assumption, John. We're going to assume you're 29 years old and you have $10,000, okay? And you put it away at 4%. Remember, our 4 into 72 was 18. So that $10,000 grows in 36 years, because 18 and 18 is 36, and it doubles every 18 years from $20,000 to $40,000. Now, 36 plus the 29 is 65. So that makes you 65 years old. Your kids are gone. The house is paid for. You want to retire, but you've only got $40,000 to your name. How long is that going to last you? The way you spend, probably half that time. just kidding, just a joke. Maybe a year, maybe a little longer if you're really frugal. And then you're out of money and you're a greeter at Walmart. Or you're like my friend Don, bussing tables. But here's the problem. We've run out of time. Who wants to work past 65? The only thing we have changed is the interest rate. And here's the $1 million question. If you could have had 6 to 12% instead of 4%, would you now have greater financial independence? The answer is yes. Now take a look at this table here. Now look at this. At 6%, your money doubles every 12 years. At 8%, it doubles every 9 years. And at 12%, it doubles every 6 years. So in 36 years at age 65, you've got $640,000. Now, let's take a look at the disclaimer, okay? Isn't that amazing? The only difference between this guy and that guy is the interest rate. Not more money, certainly not more time. Same age, same amount of money, the only difference is the interest rate. But it costs this guy $600,000. Now, John, isn't that a pretty important principle for you to learn? This could change the quality of your life. And you know what? It's not about having $10,000. The key is saving a little bit on a monthly basis at a decent interest rate. If you will save for you at a decent interest rate, there may be a time where you'll not be out earning your money but your money is out earning you. Pretty awesome, huh? So the $1,000,000 question here is, where can I get a decent rate of return, but you have a protection of principal where you're actually guaranteed not to lose money? Guaranteed not to lose money. Well, there's 3 different strategies. That's it. I'm going to give you a synopsis on each one, and you tell me which makes the most sense for you so that I know what is suitable for you when we get back together. First is the fixed rate approach. You get a guaranteed fixed rate, but it's a low return. It's approximately 2 to 3%, maybe less, which may be risky because of inflation, just like it shows we talked about in this table. The second approach is the other end of the spectrum, the stock market or mutual funds. You've got the potential for high returns, but with a greater risk of losing your money, and a lot of people have because it has been pretty dicey lately. The third way is the indexed strategy, where all the principal you save is protected, all the interest you earn is also protected, so you don't lose money. All interest earned is linked to what the S&P, that's the Standard & Poor's 500 stock index, does. For the past 25 years, it's averaged approximately 10% a year. That's pretty good. Now, of those 3, which one makes the most sense for you? The index strategy? Yeah, I know. That's a very popular strategy. Let's talk about it a minute. I said the S&P Standard & Poor's 500 index. These are the 500 most widely held companies in the United States, covering about 100 or so industry groups: technology, healthcare, utilities, you name it. It's covered in the S&P, and this index covers about 70% of the total domestic equity market capitalization. Wow, about 70% of the American economy is actually what I'm saying. But get this, the S&P has averaged almost 10% a year for the past 25 years. If you had invested in the S&P 500 25 years ago and averaged almost 10% per year, you'd be happy, right? Yeah, I thought so. Now, when we get back together, if we have determined that an index strategy is suitable for you, I'll then explain the specific products, cost, floors, caps, other terms and conditions. We'll get to it, but like I said, I'm ripping right through this. But for now, let me give you an overview of the index strategy and how the interest crediting works. All interest earned is linked to the S&P 500 up to a cap, for example, 13%. But without any of the downside risk associated with putting money directly into the stock market, because you're not investing in the stock market, it's tied to the index. Completely different animals. See, so your money is protected from any market loss. At the same time, you participate in the growth of the S&P 500 up to a cap, for example, 13%, with the protection from any downside market risk. Okay, it goes down, you're protected, you don't get hit. That should be pretty important, don't you think? Here, let me draw this out for you, and I'm just going to do 3 years here, and we're going to give you that $10,000 that I gave you earlier, and we're going to do the index strategy, and we're going to use the 10%. So that the first year you get 10%, your 10,000 is 11,000. Now let's just say the second year grows another 10%. Now you have $12,100. But in the third year, it loses 20%. Is that possible? Yes, sir, it's absolutely possible, because it in fact has happened. But now, instead of your account value dropping 20% to $9,600, in year 3, it remains at $12,100. That's how your money is protected from the downside risk. And that's why the index approach is quickly becoming one of the most popular, and you can see why. One of the best ways to win the rate of return in an inflation battle is to be able to get potentially higher growth, yet protect your principal from any downside market loss or market risk. But John, you cannot just win the rate of return battle and forget about taxes. In fact, I'm going to show you an example that will shock you in how important it is to employ both rate of return battle and the tax battle. Let's say 30 years ago, there was a guy that was 30 years of age, okay? And he wanted to have $1,000,000 when he was 60. Now, he didn't understand any of this. So he just went into the bank and says, Mr. Banker, what do I need to save every month for 30 years so that I can have $1,000,000? You got to remember, back then CD rates were about 5%. I mean, that's a heck of a rate compared to today. Now they're about 2, 3, 1, but back then they were 5. Well, the banker figured it out and said, what you need to do is put away exactly $1,639.29 a month for 30 years at 5%, and you'll get your million. Well, he looked at that number and he was totally discouraged, and he never saved a dime. He just walked out of the bank and just didn't save anything. You might recognize him as one of the greeters at Walmart. We've seen him, right? Now, what if we could have taught him how to win these two battles, the rate of return battle and the tax battle? Look how it drops that number. It's almost unbelievable. Let's win one at a time. The rate of return. Let's say he could have averaged 10% instead of 5%. It takes the number clear down to $900 a month. We're rounding off numbers for simplicity here. So, like I say, these are rounded numbers. But boy, are they in the ballpark. However, John, can most people save $900 a month? Yeah, no, probably not. But it's still $700 less than that guy right over there. That's significant, right? Now, what if we help him to put his money away where it can't be taxed while it grows? So with tax deferral, what does he have to put away? Wow, look at that, $438 a month. Now, John, do you know people that can put away $438 a month? Yeah, a lot of people. Maybe you could do that. Hey, you're blowing that, right? See, to a lot of people, that's not a big deal. It's not so much putting away a ton, it's about putting away what you can at a decent interest rate, reducing taxes, and avoiding loss of principal. In fact, in step 6, when we are done, a person knows how and when they will potentially be totally financial independent, and if we do it right, we can literally shave years off that retirement date. It's really neat. John, let me ask you this. If you are financially independent right now, and you have enough in your nest egg so every month you had enough that you didn't have to go to work anymore, what would you and your wife be doing? What are your dreams, your goals? What would you be doing? That's great. Now think about it. If you are financially independent, you have options. And that's the point. You can do what you want, when you want, how you want. In fact, it was interesting. The other day, we went through the implementation phase with a client. That's our second visit. And the wife was so excited when they were going to know that when they were going to be financially independent, that she just got up and said, hey, you know what? I could go door to door asking my neighbors when they were going to be financially independent. You know, nobody would know, but I do. You know what? At that time, she and her husband became one because they knew what their dreams were and it was when it was going to happen. So it's exciting. That's step 6. The last step is estate planning. A lot of times, using a trust, so upon death, you can leave a legacy instead of headaches and possible tax burdens for your survivors. How a trust helps you avoid probate and protects against liabilities. The importance of having a will, a living will, power of attorney, that type of thing. You remember a while back the story about Terri Schiavo, the lady who became incapacitated. She had the whole world arguing about what should happen to her. Imagine how different it would have been for her and her family if she only had a simple living will. Are you concerned about who will make medical, legal, and financial decisions for you if you're unable to? Are you concerned with who will receive your assets when you pass away? Are you interested in updating or creating a will or trust? Let me ask you, do you already have an attorney or other advisor that you work with on estate planning issues? Oh, you do? Well, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Thanks. I'm glad you do. That's very important. So those are the 7 steps. Kind of neat, aren't they? Now let me ask you, John, a very important question. Of these 7 steps, if you have to narrow it down to 2 that are the highest priority in your life between increasing cash flow, eliminating debt, developing an emergency fund, life insurance protection, building long-term financial independence, and tax planning, which is critical. And estate planning, by the way. If you could only pick 2, which 2 would they be? Hey, great choices, John. Let me tell you what we do. We do what's called a financial needs analysis so that we can make sure the products we offer are suitable for you. Where in a second I'll ask you a few questions to help determine what your needs are and what your goals and dreams are. Then I'll take this back to the office where we have a very sophisticated software program where we'll input your information and it'll help us develop a plan of attack specific around your needs and help you become one thing: financially independent the soonest. So it's awesome. Let me tell you about the cost of all this. When I come back, what I'll expect is hot chocolate chip cookies fresh out of the oven, which you personally bake, and a tall cup of milk. Nah, just kidding. You're getting too serious on me there. I had to throw that out. Now, let me explain how we really get paid so you'll know. The companies that you choose to link up with and help you with your specific goal pay us a referral fee or a commission. So you won't be billed for services rendered by us. Makes it a win-win scenario. However, the information that I bring back to you will only be as accurate as the information that we put in. So work with me here because we're talking about your financial future. And if we do this right, we can potentially shave years off your retirement date. Now, the first 3 or 4 questions are yes or no answers. I can't have a maybe. This will help me with your short and midterm goals and where you're headed. In the next 2 to 3 years, do you plan on making a major purchase? Here, let me just keep writing here. Now, John, this is going to be awesome when we get back together in a day or 2. John, you've got blah dollars we can work with. Man, when we get back together, you're going to have a crystal clear picture of how and when you can potentially be financially independent. Fulfilling your dreams and goals, you're going to love it. But you're going to need to listen, and I'm going to spend some time on this because I know you're serious, so I'm going to be serious. All right? It's going to be awesome. John, this is going to change the quality of your life, and you're going to owe me big. Now, it's very important that we build upon what we've talked about today, so we need to set up a time in the next 24 to 48 hours. If we have to go clear into next week, geez, I'm going to have to recapitulate everything here that we just discovered. So if we can get back together as soon as we can, uh, we're really saving both of our lives. Here's what I have open tomorrow. Believe it or not, I've got 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 3 o'clock. Which is better for you? Okay? Yeah, then, all right, 1 o'clock, we can do that. All right, before I leave, let me ask you a couple of very important questions. If when I come back, I can show you a plan that meets your needs in every way that you're totally comfortable with, is there any reason why we couldn't do business? Okay, fantastic. And after we do business, is there any reason you wouldn't feel comfortable providing the names of 3 or 4 people that you feel could really benefit from my services in the same way I'm going to help you? Okay, so like I say, I'm not a good techie and I don't take very good pictures, but there's what you have. And, I'm sorry I had to put off Saturday, buddy, but things happen, okay? So there it is.